The great unknown Ukraine. There are old woods in Polessia and luxuriant subtropics of the Crimea, filled with the birds singing of Poltava and Kharkiv groves, the golden shores of the Black and Azov seas, the mountain pearls of the Ukrainian Carpathians. We are going to the very west, the Ukrainian Carpathians. The Carpathian romance starts with the thud of wheels. We are going to the Carpathians, the very heart of Europe, to discover the picturesque area, full of various unexpected things, to see with our own eyes the beauty of the landscape and learn about unknown Hutsuls' life. If we are lucky, we'll climb the highest mountain in Ukraine to be closer to the sky. Maybe God will help us to learn the way to the great mystery of the Ukrainian wreath. The Great Carpathian Mountain chain begins not far from Bratislava, Slovakia, and finishes in the southeast of Romania. The explorers think the name Carpathian appeared from the name of the Frankivski tribe Carpi, who lived in the territory of Precarpathia in the 3rd-4th centuries AD. Others think this word has the root of the word kar, stone or stone mountains. The length of the Carpathian is about 1,500 kilometers. In the southwest, its width is 240 kilometers, and in the southeast, where the Ukrainian Carpathians lie, is more narrow, about 100 to 120 kilometers. The average height of the Ukrainian Carpathians is 1,000 meters. They extend from the northwest to the southeast for about 280 kilometers. The highest top is Mountain Goverla, so we are going there from Ivano-Frankivsk through the little picturesque place Yaremcha. This tourist center of Ivano-Frankivsk is at the altitude of 585 meters above the sea level, among the Greece mountains. The plant kingdom around Yaremcha is very rich. Mountain fir trees, beeches, lots of other kinds of trees, and a diverse animal world. The nature landscapes and the wind are filled with fragrances and freshness. As for me, it's very impressive, especially when you're on the bank of the stormy river Prut. Euphoria of the element is wonderful, and the beginning is somewhere there, 50 kilometers away, flows down by streams of the ridge of Chornogor, Montenegro. 8,160 rivers run through this area, and many of them are suitable for water sports. The restaurant Hutsulshina, built in 1965 of carved wood, attracts attention by its unusual architecture. Some more steps, and we are among the people's creative works. The most of them are made by the Hutsul craftsmen, carvers, potters, and weavers. It's a souvenir paradise for tourists. We are moving farther to the west. Such suspension bridges can be seen all over every river. When you stop, you can rock and feel unusual emotions. Zakarpattia is waiting for us ahead, and the unique discoveries is Rakhiv district, which borders on Romania and Ivano-Frankivsk district. Milky Way of the Hutsuls. Zakarpatska Gutsulshina is famous for its hard-to-get-to mountains, covered with thick woods. People's avengers found their refuge just here, Oprishki, among whom was the famous Alexa Dovbush. Just here, as the legend says, the brave Alexa hid his treasure, and it can be found only by the brave person, who, by his bravery and devotion to his people, will manage to open the stone door leading to the cave at the roof of the mountain in Montenegro Massif. With great love, the Hutsuls treat their national hero and make up songs about him.
Hajem zelenenkim, hajem zelenenkim, ходить до, бо ж молоденький, ходить до, бо ж молоденький, він на ніжку налягає.
The most part of the area is covered with mountains. In Rakhiv region, there are representatives of different nationalities, among whom there are Ukrainians and a separate ethnic group, the Hutsuls. It's interesting to know that in 1918, a small state existed in Rakhiv area for several months, the Hutsul Republic, and its center was the town of Yasinia. It's amazing that Rakhiv, its name is formed by the word count or landlord Rakhiv's property. It belongs to the most stormy places in Ukraine. There are 43 stormy days a year here. It's the highest place in Ukraine. Its altitude is 820 meters above the sea level. There is one more unusual thing in Rakhivshina, the biggest musical instrument in Ukraine, named Hutsul wooden trombeta, which is 4 meters long. The main pride of Rakhivshina is the geographical center of continental Europe, situated near Dilove village. The geographical latitude and longitude of this place was determined by the Viennese Caesar Queen Academy of Sciences of Austro-Hungarian Kingdom more than 100 years ago, and this place was recognized the center of Europe. In Rakhiv area, there is a Montenegro Massif of the Carpathian Biosphere Nature Reserve, which is just unique. The place where we are now is called Kuzi, Урочище Соколине Бердо. It was one of the favorite hunting places of King Franz Joseph. A lot of heat-loving rare plants grow here because of the special very warm climate. In general, in the borders of this nature reserve, there are 64 kinds of plants and 72 kinds of animals taken down into the Red Book of Ukraine and European Red List. The total area is about 57,880 hectares. The safest Carpathian ecosystems are represented here, which are the habitat for many rare and disappearing kinds of plants and animals. Since ancient times, in the Carpathian Mountains, where the land meets the sky and the sun gives people its first ray, where crystal springs pour into the stormy river and bring their water, giving life, a song is born. It lifts up into the universe and unites with the rhythm of mountains. Here, the beauty amazes our eyes, and the heart stands still, trying to find out the truth of life. Amazing people of Gusulia live with their fairy beliefs and traditions. These people genetically develop, surrounded by the natural beauty, breathing the Carpathian spirit, which gives them the strength of ancient ancestors. This strength has saved their traditions, legends, talent, and a special character till nowadays. The Hutsuls live in the eastern Carpathians, covered with woods, namely in the mountain area of Zakarpatska, Ivano-Frankivska, and Chernivtska regions. Autumn is traditionally a holiday time in the Carpathians. First of all, because men, fathers, sons come back from the mountains with their flocks. The sheep farming season comes to an end, leaving the days of hard work and loneliness behind. The joy of meeting becomes a big celebration. The masters demonstrate, showing off their abilities and, of course, their skills. The ability to cut the sheep as quickly as possible, milk it, and make a good homemade cheese called brinza is the same as having a lot of land and the richest housekeeping. These shepherds' fame flies above the mountains. To show their mastery, they gathered at the festival, fair Hutsul Brinza, in the village Kvasi, near Rahiv. Many Hutsuls from mountain areas come here to celebrate and compete in making brinza and showing their mastery. The shepherds light a symbolic vatra. It's considered to be made of many smoldering logs, which had been warming up the shepherds at the mountain plains for years to light up the magic fire for the scaring of wild animals and spirits from the sheep. The sounds of joy are flying over the fir trees, mountains and clouds, reviving rays of eternal fire of Gutsulshina, which symbol is eternal Hutsul's companion, Vatra. Every village invites guests for cheese. People are happy to meet each other, speak and remember different stories. Down the slope, a competition committee is coming. They evaluate practically the color of the exhibition and the quality of cheese. Near every table they stop to taste, drink a little palinka, eat some slices of cheese and go ahead. They are sung kalamikas, told jokes, toast to health. In 2 hours, the best exhibition and the tastiest cheese are chosen. The cheese, made of sheep milk, is the main hero of the festival. The smells of sheep wool, fresh wood, pastry, sour milk and roast meat are mixed in the air. The women treat everybody with the meals from the exhibition tables. By the way, speaking about an ideal young woman, a boy, parubok, or a master, gazda, will say with gusto, "Splendid like boots." Boots is a new sheep cheese made according to a special technology. Of course, every single woman will accept such a compliment. By the way, the Guzel women cook different delicious dishes, and you can convince in it here at the festival. Bedspreads are still made by grandfather's methods. Yarns are spinned in hand using kudeli, weaved in old tools, ready things are curved in valili. Real Guzul bedspreads with high nap can't be made by everyone, because there isn't enough raw material, Alpine Carpathian sheep's wool, but it doesn't relate to the Guzuls. In general, this holiday is not modern, its roots are in the depth of centuries. In the towns of Rakhiv and Yasinya, there are local centers of Gusulshina. Who is a Guzul? It's a rebellious, strong-willed man who can forgive a lot of things, but not only humiliation of his self-respect. All Guzuls are religious. They love God, go to church and fast. They didn't have serfdom, and they keep with great respect their old traditions, rituals and culture. The origin of the name Guzul still causes discussions among scientists. Ivan Vagilevich thinks this name is formed from the Turksky tribe. The root uz is left, the first letter G and the suffix ul are added.
Залишився корінь уц, до якого додалося початкове г та суфікс у.
The main symbol at all celebrations is Guzul Trembita. This festival begins with its music.
Щоб знову почути чарівну трембіту, воспів її в серці з дитинства в мені.
The trombita sound can be heard at about 10 kilometers. It flies from one mountain valley to another, from one mountain to another, from the top down in the Carpathian village. The mountain system of trombitas is used to transmit the information for a far distance. Sometimes, with the help of sound code, pass on different warnings of danger, successful hunting, celebrations, and many other things to neighbors. When shepherds were taking their sheep to the upper pasture, they informed about it with the help of trombita and gathered the sheep in a flock. So, days spent in the mountain valley, driving out and driving in, was accompanied by trombita, a wind instrument similar to the alpine bungle. The musicians, kaladniki, played the trombita at Christmas. Maybe the angel of God declared the birth of Christ in a similar way. The experts say trombita sounds stronger when its walls are thin, but then it can be broken easily. Now, for easier transportation, folding trombitas are made, but their sounds are worse. Modern metal trombitas are much bigger, and that's why the sounds they produce are very clear. Many years ago, Guzul musicians made the instruments themselves as they could. The fiddles were hollowed out as a tub from one piece of wood. The strings were made of lamb guts. Every cymbale had to be unique, with different carvings decorated in different ways. Musical instruments, craftsmen believed that the instrument made of thunderous wood hit by the lighting of the pagan god Perun sounds better. The Hutsuls are gifted musicians by nature. At all the celebrations, triple musics are played. Stylish palette of triple musics varies a lot. They accompany all traditional wedding ceremonies, march during the guests' greetings, when a young couple is getting married, and the most important thing is dances, traditional guzulki and kalameiki. It's interesting that the name triple musics does not indicate the quantity of instruments, because there can be 4, 5 and even more of them.
Може бути 4, 5 і навіть більше.
The Hutsuls call their little brothers Marjina and even Marjinka. The Ukrainian writer of the beginning of the last century, Gnat Hatkevich, expressed himself precisely. All Hutsul's fortune is Marjina. Without it, Hutsul is nothing. With it, he is everything. The fortune is counted by the number of flock or hay. A Gazda is said he has 20 haystacks. It reflects his well-being in full. On this day, the Hutsuls put on their fancy clothes. As for the wedding, as you can see, fashion does not influence much people's taste. A girl will put on a tree made by her great-grandmother with pride. The key to understand the spirit of the Hutsuls is their unique, deep mythology and arts. Since their childhood, they believe in good and evil spirits, lysavics, nymphs and mermaids. There are gifted sources in many villages. The Hutsuls are different from their compatriots living in the Carpathians and farther in the west because of their way of life, their customs and traditions. In particular, the Hutsul costume is unique. All the decorations were made not only to make it beautiful, but it was magic protective as well. From the end of the 19th century, it took the beauty of glass beads of different colors. Sign symbolism was directed to protect the person. Decoration part is to satisfy the ritual and religion needs. As soon it became the transmitter of complicated language of signs and symbols, with the help of which a man expresses his attitude to the world around and phenomena of nature. Decorations express the material display of a person's emotional life. Until the middle of the 19th century, the Hutsuls' outwear, made of potva, was of red color. It was associated with the color having magic power of protection against the evil spirits.
Червоний колір коралів асоціювався з кольором, що мав магічну силу захисту людини від злих сил.
In the wreath, you can see a little glittering mirrors reflecting sun rays. Such decorations protect people from demons and other people's magic deeds. Hutsul carving and embroidery, according to brightness, richness and symbolic elements, can't be compared with anything else in the world. The Hutsuls don't have any single sign without a hidden contents. For example, an octagon means God, a quadrangle is the 4 parts of the world. Christianity could only come into the people's life having adopted its conceptions and images to the pagan conception and images in which people believed. First of all, the solar symbols underwent assimilation, which was expressed in the union of the solar disk with the cross, the main symbol of Christianity. The source of Hutsul ornament compositions was an old Slavic sun cult, which extolled first of all the harvest, livestock, and farming, where the decisive factor was a life-giving sun power. The symbol of the sun became an emblem of well-being and good luck for the population of the Ukrainian Carpathians. Long ago, this symbol was widely used as an amulet. The Christian topic is often present in various Hutsul creative work. The model of the church is made by the craftsman with great love and skills, and the corner exhibition in front of you is decorated in an unusual way. Christianity and paganism came successfully into mountain dwellers' life, and you can see and feel it when you look at all these creations of talented hands. It's a real church copy. Having opened it, you can see everything in details. It's so amazing indeed. It's an interesting fact that for many years the Hutsuls have had their traditional icon painting. In the Carpathians, the most of the women mountain dwellers go in for embroidery arts. We'll meet different embroideresses of Rahiv.
Погляд вишивальницями міста Рахова.
Maria Vorokhta embroids and takes part in exhibitions. Anna Mochernak presents her embroidery to children and her family. She was happy to show us her room, where different kinds of embroidery are demonstrated. It's wonderful and looks like a private exhibition. In embroidery of such an ethnic Carpathian group as the Hutsuls, archaic features of people's ornaments are saved. Clothes, towels, serviettes under icons, bed linen and even shoes were decorated with embroidery. Embroidery patterns, as a rule, were not only simple decorations, but amulets as well, which protected from evil spirits, illnesses, bad luck, etc. Not always we realize that flowers, birds, butterflies, rhombuses, squares, crosses, as if reviving in embroidery, communicate with us, have their symbolic meaning, and very often are our protectors, advisors, our home anti-stress first aid kit. Through these amulets, the embroideresses try to express love, respect, welfare and harmony with nature. All these wishes have to come true, because the embroidered patterns have the power of amulets. But there is one important condition. The embroideresses has to know the contents of symbols, be kind-hearted, treat the person for whom the present is well, and embroider it with good intentions. During her work, the embroideress used to say a prayer or incantations several times so that evil winds not to bring bad luck and unhappiness. Old people think that only under these conditions the amulet will work. The Hutsul women don't cast to charm a nice guy called Stree. The only thing they do long before meeting a future husband is embroider shirts. Embroidery of shirts for the beloved man is connected with the whole bunch of beliefs among Hutsul girls. The fabric and threads, and of course needles, have to be the new ones, because if someone, God forbid, used them before, something evil would pass on the bridegroom. Daughter is taught the pattern by her mother. It shouldn't be sworn to anyone, as people may jinx and family life won't be happy. And the girl has to be in a hurry, because any day the bridegroom's best friends might come with a tree and the shirt won't be ready to the past to the fiancé. Hutsul girls have learned embroidery ins and outs since childhood, and often events dedicated to embroidered shirts are organized. In Hutsul pisanka's ornament, the unity of different symbols is reflected. It's just wonderful, in energetic aura of old signs and colors. The Ukraine is proud of its Hutsuls. For a long time, we'll be thinking about the phenomenon of Hutsul personality, which contains an endless treasure of great gods. The Hutsuls are people who, genetically developing among blue mountains, are filled with the power of spirit of far ancestors. This power still keeps customs, legends, talent and character of the people, whose name is the Hutsuls. They are priceless pearls of mountains and national beauty of the great Ukrainian wreath. Hoverla, the highest top of the Ukrainian Carpathians and all Ukraine, is situated in the boundary of Ivano-Frankivska and Zakarpatska areas. From Rakhiv, we are going in the direction of Lazishina village, kind of gates of Rakhivshina from the Yablonevsky Pass. Hoverla is situated in the protected area of the Carpathian Biosphere Nature Reserve, and became a popular tourist center. The desire to climb the highest top of Ukraine is the goal of many people of different nationalities and countries. You can get to the top from the different sides of the mountain. The ascent becomes more romantic when you meet shepherds in mountain valleys. My guide Mikhailo is a local farmer. He was a shepherd too, when he was a child. He can play the trombeta pretty well, even though it's made of metal. When you get to the top of Hoverla, you can see the wonderful view and flora. The incomparable fragrant air fills your lungs. Under its influence, you realize the value of life, and the place of paradise is the earth. The philosophy of life and belief of pagan Hutsuls is directed to harmony of soul and body, a man and the universe. For example, a tree was considered to be a symbol of growing power and a head of sacred meaning. Goverla's eternal satellite is Mount Petrus, from the Hungarian rocky top. Its height is 2020 meters. Just look, when Mikhailo is playing the trombeta, the sheep become feeble, like charmed. He's playing again and again, and the effect is the same. It's absolutely amazing that on St. Yuri's Day, Ukrainian shepherds had a ritual meal in the wood, and after eating, they left the food for gods. These rituals, which remind sacred Rigveda's rituals, are preserved by the Carpathian Hutsuls. If we climb a little bit more, we are on the mountain. It's impossible to express your feelings when you see Transylvania, Montenegro covered with green woods, and the sky here is very beautiful. You can see such crosses not only in the Carpathians, but this one is the grandeur itself. It's above all the Ukraine. From Sanskrit, Goverla is translated as the direct calling of God. On the 6th of May, our ancestors asked God's advice about the housekeeping for the year. Hutsul shepherds went around the flock with a burning, smoldering piece of wood taken from the sacred fire. Doing that, they were saying special prayers and incantations. As ancient Arya, the village people thought that the fire made animals clean, protected from wild animals and evil spirits. They believed the fire of the sacred tree increased cows' milkness, made animals multiply, keep the flocks coming back safe without any loss from summer pastures. It's not only some mysticism, it's a way of life. Our journey is going on farther to the west through the area between the mountains to the lake Sinevir. In the north part of the national park Sinevir, at the bottom of the mountain Ozirna, at the altitude 989 meters above the sea level, there is the Sinevir Lake. It was formed after the Ice Age. The average area is 4 to 5 hectares. Its depth is up to 22 meters. Among the dense fir trees, the lake personifies the shared fate of two legendary sweethearts, Sine and Vir. The blue glassy surface, a little island, as the pupil of eye, fluffy fir trees like eyelashes, all that gives the lake its unique beauty and attractiveness. There is a legend about the origin of the Sinevir Lake. Long ago, these mountains belonged to a rich earl. Verkhovinsky had to work for him, graze the earl's sheep and cows, cut the wood, mow the grass. The earl had a beautiful daughter, Sin. She was called so because it looked like her eyes had gathered all the blue Carpathian sky. One day, the rich man decided to check how his hirelings, lumberjacks, worked in the mountains. Sin asked father to take her with him. While he was checking the lumberjacks' work, his daughter was picking up flowers in the valley. Suddenly, she heard wonderful sounds of a panpipe, and the girl went in that direction. In the valley, where the sheep were grazing, she saw a boy who was playing the panpipe selflessly. Having noticed the girl, the boy stopped playing. "Who are you?" he asked in surprise. "I am Sin. These woods and mountains belong to my father." "And who are you?" "I am Vir, the Earl's shepherd." The girl asked him to play more, and the magic melodies were being heard in the wood for a long time. The young people loved each other and started dating secretly. But evil people informed the Earl that his daughter loved a simple shepherd. The Earl forbade his daughter to see Vir. But can love be subject to someone's will? Father's bans could not stop Sin, and the Earl's threats could not frighten Vir. Then the Earl ordered to kill the shepherd. One day, when Vir was playing the panpipe and waiting for his sweetheart, the Earl's servants sneaked and pushed off a great stone on him. On hearing the terrible news, Sin ran through the mountains and woods to the place of her sweetheart's death. She embraced the great stone, which became his grave, and cried bitterly. The girl's tears shed and shed until they flooded the whole glade, and Sin herself having formed the lake, which people called Sinevir. The water in the lake is blue, as the sky above the Carpathians, as Sin's eyes, and the little island in the middle of the lake is the top of Sin and Vir's stone. The Carpathians is a unique pearl of the Ukraine. If you come here and stand on this rich land, get rid of this. You were accompanied by Sviatoslav. See you. Welcome to Ukraine. The film was made by Sviatoslav Kruzhevsky. English translation by Елена Дмитриева.